My name is Prism, and welcome back to another video on the Media Spotlight. Today, guys, I'm going to be reviewing another one of the Walt Disney Animation Studios classic features, Disney's 1953 outing in the Silver Age, Peter Pan. Peter Pan is the third film of the Walt Disney Animation Studios Silver Age, and it is close to the 15th animated feature film, or at least the 10th. There have been a lot of them up to this point, so I need to start keeping track of the numbers. But Peter Pan is a 1953 fantasy animated feature. It tells the story of Wendy and her two brothers and their journey off to the magical place of Neverland, where they are not wanting to grow up. And really, the story is about learning to grow up and how eventually you have to. And it's just really a story about childhood, fun, and adventure. It has sword fighting, it has pirates, and it has other elements that we'll definitely address. But I want to give a review for Peter Pan, and then talk about my thoughts on the film. Well, that is basically my review, but let's get into my actual thoughts on Peter Pan. So, for Peter Pan, in my honest opinion, I think it is leagues better than Alice in Wonderland. I still wouldn't call it a great film, but I would call it a pretty good film. It has so many memorable moments. The sword fight, the crocodile, the Neverland song, You Can Fly, and Tinkerbell, along with many other mainstays in the Disney canon. Now, I do think that this film does a great job with its story. You have a simple introduction that establishes the characters, including Wendy, who is really our protagonist in this film, where she is not wanting to grow up. And so, because she doesn't want to grow up, and because she believes in Peter Pan, he magically comes to her house one night, and they go on an adventure with her two brothers. They go to Neverland, there's some sword fighting action, and everything else ensues, with them eventually learning, Wendy herself, that it's okay to grow up. That it's okay to have a childhood, but it's okay to mature and grow up. And her going back to her home, and that's pretty much it. Now, of course, on the journey, you have Captain Hook, you have Smee, you have sword fights, you have pirates, you have the crocodile, you have all these fun, memorable moments, you have the Lost Boys, you have all the things a child could imagine in a fantasy feature. And it's, a great story. It's a fun fantasy child film, and it's got beautiful animation, like I said, very memorable moments. But there is a huge problem about Peter Pan that I will address in a second. I first want to say that on its own, the film itself, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy Peter Pan, but as I'm going to get into, this film does have some very problematic issues. Apart from that, though, I think it's pretty enjoyable. I would give it... Actually, I'm not going to tell you my review score. I will say this, though. I gave it about 3 out of 5 stars. So it wasn't my favorite Disney animated feature, but it definitely is a fun one that I did appreciate rewatching. And honestly, I kind of forgot a lot about it. I knew certain moments, but I kind of forgot the in-between bits. So that was kind of fun getting to experience those. But I'm going to stop beating around the bush and address the major issue with this film, and that is the stereotyping of the Indians. The fact is that Peter Pan has a plot that involves them going after the Indians, wanting to kill them and hunt them down, and there's a whole song about what makes the Indian red. There's all these stereotypes and stuff, and I want to make it very clear, I do not think any of that is appropriate. It can be understood that this was 1953, and things were different back then. We know a lot better now. It wasn't appropriate then, and it still isn't appropriate now, how they were being stereotyped. But you at least have to understand the cultural context of where this film came from. That said, that is not a great part of the film. And I appreciate people's efforts to try and re-edit the film and make it so that isn't in there, because there was at least one edit that I've seen. I've not watched it, but that someone has made. I will link it down below for those who want to watch the film without a majority of those elements. But at the same time, yeah, It's not a great film for that reason. That is really the thing that holds it up, because I think otherwise Peter Pan is a really fun film about childhood imagination and growing up, but it's really hard to stomach the film when you have such a prominent role in these stereotypes. That being said, however, like I said, I do enjoy Peter Pan. And I think this film comes away with telling a fun fantasy story, and that's kind of honestly my thoughts. It's a little bit of a shorter review, but I don't really have a lot that I want to say about Peter Pan. I think it's an alright film. I think it's got a lot of issues, which is why I gave the film a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's great, but I also don't think it's terrible. It's above the halfway mark, but it would probably be a lot higher if it didn't have those elements in it. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and goodbye for now.